we're back with another edition of What the Hell is My Friend Doing to His Toys? Hopefully, this is the last one for a while. Here is Takara Tomy MP19 Transformers Smokescreen. This is the last one I had to tackle, but I was procrastinating due to how this was broken. Most of the others were a simple screw or something like that. This one, the car door broke off, and not at the hinge, but in the middle of the arm that holds the door on. Let's get into this, but first, make sure you like and subscribe. I sat with this one for a while. I thought about trying to put some structural integrity into this, but this piece is too thin to be able to do that. Ultimately, it would just make more of a mess than it already is. I thought about trying to remove the whole bracket, or 3D printing and molding and pouring a new version of this hinge, but all of that was very time consuming and way out of the scope of what I wanted to do. If this were going to be played with, I would have done something along those lines. But this was going to sit on a shelf and maybe not get touched for a long time. So as long as I could get this back together, that's good enough. And that's all my friend wanted. I had some leftover 2-part epoxy from a project I did a while back. I mixed some of that up and slapped it on and around the joint, figuring that encapsulating it would give it more structural integrity. The only thing I got working for me here is the way that the piece broke. There is a small tab on one side and a corresponding slot on the other side because of how it broke. This gives me a little bit more surface area to work with when using some adhesive. Regular super glue or contact cement or UV resin weren't going to work for this one. I let that sit overnight to dry. The next day, everything seemed to be dry and intact. It seemed to work. I screwed the door back on and was able to start transforming it. And now for the reason some of you are here, the title of this video. This is the third time I'm recording this, and I finally figured out why I'm so down on this character in comparison. After making the thumbnail and looking at some of the video, I was better able to formulate my thoughts. Prowl and Bluestreak are the same model car, however, they have much shorter front skirts. Smokescreen is supposed to be the rally version of this car, and he has a much larger front skirt. The problem with this, when transforming him, it makes his chest look very large and boxy and out of proportion. Since Prowl and Bluestreak don't have that same front skirt, it allows the hood of their car to taper down to their waist and give them more of a shape. If you look at him next to the both of them, he looks off. Some angles he looks decent, like in the thumbnail, but others he just looks way too big and boxy and disproportional. If you look at some of these drawings, he has a much smaller front skirt, which in my opinion looks better. He also needs bigger arms like Prowl and Bluestreak to help mitigate some of that disproportion. A lot of the other Transformers have their hood or their roof come down as a chest plate, which gives them a almost triangular shape. Unfortunately, Smokescreen just looks like he got a car slammed on top of him. It sticks out way too far and looks weirdly disproportional. This lends itself to feeling like it's a lazy design, unfortunately. In all of these images, the hood and the bumper are way closer to the rest of his body. I don't hate this figure, it just wouldn't be the first one that I'd pick up. This transformation was seemingly pretty simple in comparison to some of the others that you've seen me work on. This is about as difficult as a regular Hasbro Transformer. I gave special consideration to make sure I didn't bump or knock the door. I didn't need it breaking off again. And as soon as I got to the end of the transformation... No! I knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen. I also see where I went wrong. I had tightened the screws on the door just a little too much. Nothing too crazy, just enough, so when moving that door up and down, it put a little too much torque on that broken joint, and it snapped. I got out the 2-part epoxy again, and let it sit overnight. The next day, I put everything back together, but I left the screw closest to the hinge just finger tight. This allowed the door to move with little to no torque on that joint. Let's get this up on the turntable. There are some tweaks that could be made to this, and it would be so much better. The car mode looks amazing. I would happily display this in car mode all day. Robot mode, I'm not overly wowed by it. I know all of this is probably an unpopular opinion. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad figure, but for the price, this one would be the last one I would pick up. I'm sure there are others out there with differing opinions. I know I'm probably one of the outliers. Now that I've riled up the whole Transformers community, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.